Hi. As you know, when I came into the hotel line, I was extremely frustrated when I opened a Chinese restaurant and I couldn't make money. And my consultant, a very seasoned 25-year-old GM, told me that's the way it is. And again, when I opened the brasserie, the same thing happened. And I really cannot fathom why we should be doing businesses that lose money. Right? It really puzzled me. Right? And part of the reason I feel is that the issue of knowledge and issue of what drives the design. So once I start my own company, as I start managing with people, and I start pitching for jobs that are starting from scratch, I learned something else. So I give you an example of one case where it was in a hotel, in a small, not small city, almost a third or fourth city, largest city in Malaysia. And this family, this owner has a piece of land that he said, "Oh, Dennis, can you help me come and evaluate whether I should have a hotel?" So I went to take a look, and it is not on the main road. The main road is very busy and has a few smaller hotels. It is like three roads in, running parallel to the main road. So I said, the thought went through my mind that there's no way this hotel is going to make money because it's not visible from the main road. So the next thing I did was ask him, what is the value of this land per square foot versus the land value per square foot on the main road? And the difference was not more than 10%. So I said, why don't you consider this? Then I explained to him why secondary location is very poor and he needs to be on the main road to be visible so that people can find a hotel and then they will be your first choice. So I said to him, why don't you sell your land and buy a perfect land that then I can plan the hotel for you. Guess what? Not interested. It's either I build a hotel here or I don't build. So finally, I gave up on the job and then move on. That's one. My own experience working with the hotels that I've designed, the one in Bintulu, the instruction from the owner also said, make it a resort hotel. But I knew resort cannot make money, so I had to make it a business and conference center, right? And the record showed that we were right. And they owned another hotel in another town where it's near Brunei, and they thought using the international operator they can make money. But again, that became a resort strategy, and people coming across for 2 days of good, decent business, 5 days of no business, and the fact that it is too far away from town. So without the conference component, it can't make money. And on top of that, knowing what I know today, which at that time I know, when I took over the hotel, the number of room at 160 something room is in the no man's land, very hard to make money. Plus, the ballroom they have can only sit 280%. Again, it's in the no man's land of ballroom size. Today I know that you either go to 500 or you don't do it, right? So based on all this knowledge, then I said to myself, oh, you know what's wrong? The thought process is wrong, right? Okay, because actually a hotel is a collection of many businesses. So you have the room business and you have the restaurant business. Restaurant business consists of, let's say, a coffee shop, which is about the minimum, which handle basically breakfast. You may have a Chinese restaurant, a Western restaurant, or a Japanese restaurant. Then you have banqueting with meetings. You may even have an entertainment outlet, right? And finally, you have the minor operating department like telephone, laundry, spa, gym, and car park, and retail, right? Even some hoteliers, they go and run the retail themselves. And retail also require long hour and special knowledge. It's better to just rent it out and collect rent, right? Telephone, I'm going to share with you. 25 years ago, when we opened in Bintulu, our income was 30,000. Today, if we are able to have an income of 1 ringgit, we are lucky already. Thank you, somebody up there. Same thing in laundry. Laundry, you can never make money providing dry cleaning. So it's better to independently get somebody else to wash, including the guest laundry. All the guest laundry should go out. Sometimes you may have a laundry just to do your internal because your volume is big, right? A spa, you need specialists. Again, a hotelier don't have enough knowledge for that, so rent out. A gym to be a profit center is practically impossible because chances are you can't generate, and you don't have the competency to run a gym business. Right. The only time we have a very good gym is Everly Putrajaya, but that was more driven in terms of our banqueting, conference and banqueting. We can sit 1,000, and we are targeting the international big conferences. And by having a very good gym, they come and say, okay, we know our people, there's a proper exercise, place for exercise. Car park is also another place where you very hard to make money because we give, if you stay, we give free rental or overnight. And then on conferences, we give a special rate, a flat rate. So car park also become ancillary to the main business, right? Yeah. So in that sense, it's very, very important that each business requires a separate feasibility study. And our thought process today is that we, in terms of whether we should have restaurant A or restaurant B, our thought process changes this way. If you don't build a hotel and you do the location and you put in a Chinese restaurant, will the catchment area make that restaurant feasible or not? As it is a separate. Same thing with a Japanese restaurant and same thing with a Western fine dining, right? So if the answer is you can't do it independently on a standalone basis, then you should not put it into your 4 or 5-star hotel that you are building, right? But if you really want to, and you say you want to do that, it is better already to design the hotel with these outlets, separate out, the kitchen separate out, the staff support separate out, and just take rental from it. You will make more money than losing money yourself, right? So those are the things that you got to focus on. Now let's look at the room business. In the room business, road facing and visibility from a distance is very important. People drive up, they see the hotel, they know how to get there. That is very important. And the next thing is, what are the business in the immediate trading area, right? You must have a lot of business to support the hotel. If you have enough companies, a decent company, I'm not talking about small company, because in small company, they don't really have enough people traveling, not enough people visiting, and they cannot generate traffic to the room business, right? If you're near to entertainment, is very good, and near to a shopping center is also very good, right? But remember again that if you are near a shopping center, chances are there are many restaurants there, and there's no way your restaurant can compete with an independent restaurant. And today in the big city, you must be walking distance to a transit system, be it train, MRT, whatever. Because big city, we have difficulty moving around. And the transit system also help in the leisure business. When they come and they say they want to go and visit here and all, they can move around. The next area, you have to look at what are the competition in the immediate area. So based on the competition that is there, then you decide what type of hotel you're going to design? Are you going to compete only in the room business, or are you going to compete with conferences and all? So you must balance that out. And on top of that, based on the competition, then you decide what is the niche. Are you a 5-star, 4-star, 3-star suite, or long stay, or boutique? So let's talk a little bit about the marketing aspect of a city hotel. A city hotel is busy actually Sunday to Thursday night. Your low period tend to be Saturday and Sunday, right? But if you are lucky, you're in the capital city, chances that there are a lot of foreign visitors, etc. Then sometimes you get good Saturday and Sunday business, right? But remember, a hotel needs 7 days of business, right? And 365 days of business, right? So if you don't know how to fill up the weekdays, WEAK weekdays, it's impossible to make a decent return on the business. So if you are in a location where it is basically business driven, then you have to think in terms of how to build up the weekend business, right? In the resort, it's even worse and the other way. The occupancy movement is like this. Typically, if it is within vicinity of a major catchment area, for example, Port Dickson is 1.5 hours drive from the greater Kuala Lumpur area. We have a lot of weekend business. Friday and Saturday, people go, right? But Sunday to Thursday, in Port Dickson, I can tell you, occupancy can be below 10%. So year in, year out, that location average 35%. Right. Automatically, 35% occupancy in a business that breaks even at 45 to 55%, you will be in trouble immediately. And give you an example, just today, I was contacted by a property agent. Dennis, can you help me sell this hotel near Cherating? I look at the location. I used to operate a small hotel there. I said, look, this hotel should never have been built, right? Because you only have 160 days of good business, which is 52 weeks times 2 days, 104 days, plus about 30 to 60 days of public holiday and school holiday. The 205 days low in this location and in the location I mentioned, you'll be below 10%. Right. So in the resort, you can also buy other people's mistake. But the problem with buying other people's mistake is you still have to sort out the weekday and weekend business, right? So in resort, again, if you have 80 to 120 rooms, you cannot justify ballroom and meeting business. But higher than 200, you have to have a conference center, ballroom, etc. And what you do is you study whether you have enough catchment to fill up the meeting and conference business. If you do, then you have a chance of success. Right? So the other part is that you can build destination resort. So destination resort is like the Amans, right, and the Datai in Langkawi, where it's iconic. The location is iconic. Only type of location in the world. And then you build a 5-star boutique hotel, and you're pitching to high net worth people. And today they are targeting $500, probably $800 and above. And for this sector, you cannot really have more than 120 rooms. And the people who are coming, they are coming in to stay 3 days on a 7-day cycle, right? Now, in terms of financial return, like every business, the timing of the investment determines the return of the property you have, right? The second thing is the cost of the hotel. What is the construction or replacement cost? So typically coming out of America, the rule of thumb they say is you should not spend more than 1,000 times the average room rate you can get. So let us say you can average $100 per night. So the total investment for the hotel should not be more than $100,000 per room, right? If you can reach that sort of number, your return can be decent. But I have seen property, especially in a city area where the land value is high, where the car park has to be below the ground. Car park below the grounds are very expensive to build. So if you have a city hotel, if the car park can be built above the ground, you have a cheaper construction cost, right? So on that rate, what I've seen is the best I have designed for other people on that sort of condition is 1,400 times the average room rate I can achieve. And from what I can see of the market, they are 2,000 or 2,500 or 3,000. So it's very difficult to reach 1,000 because we are dependent on internal car park. You know, I built a hotel in Klang. I was at 1,040 times that my average room rate target of 100 ringgit. And that hotel, I made decent money return. But in all the other projects, it's a compromise. And I've seen the cost structure of many five-star hotels. From day one, I already know it will never make money, right? So for the timing, you need to do what is called a supply-demand analysis, right? Supply is what are the number of rooms in the market, in the trading area you're going to compete in, and multiply by 365 days, that is a room night available. And you look at how many new hotels are coming up. And you can, if you know a little bit about construction, you go and inspect where are they in the construction phase. And you can roughly guess how long it will take to finish the hotel. Roughly, the rule of thumb for per floor is about 3 weeks, up to a month per floor. So if 12 floor, roughly 3 times 12, 36 weeks, or even one floor per month is 12 months, right? 12 floor. So we can know the supply. Supply is relatively easy to predict because it takes that long to build a hotel. Plus, I forgot to mention that after the physical construction, they also need about 6 to 9 months for all the ID to be fitted out. Then we look at what is the demand. The issue with demand is that it is very hard to measure. So the only data we have is if we know the occupancy of the hotels that you are building a hotel in that area, and you have the data, and a lot of time government data are also inaccurate, so you have to find ways and means to confirm that number. Based on the total number of room nights in the market multiplied by the occupancy, you know what is the demand. And fundamentally what we do is we just do a regression analysis on that number, and that's as close as you can get. And based on that two number, you can forecast out the next 5 years, what is the occupancy. And based on that occupancy that is coming up, you will know whether you will make money or not. Right? So let me talk about the restaurant business. Okay. I already mentioned that I was very frustrated with the restaurant and lost money. So I read somewhere about the profile of people eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the hotel they stay in. So ask yourself these questions. Your lifetime experience staying in a hotel what percentage of the time did you eat breakfast in the hotel you stayed in? Similarly for lunch, similarly for dinner, and one more question. What percentage of time did you consume any food and beverage, be it a drink, be it food, between midnight to 6:30 in the morning? Right, so you got your answer? So let me share with you what I have learned over asking this question 30 over years. Even today, I ask this question, right? Because we are all hotel experts, it's just that we need the right question to articulate that into numbers. So for city hotel, 65 to 75% of people eat breakfast in the hotel they stay in. 5% eat lunch, okay? And 12% eat dinner, and the 12% is skewed to ladies who come to a new city who do not want to go out to eat for fear of safety. and overnight is 0.1%. So let's run the numbers. If you have a hotel of 250 rooms and you have a 40% double occupancy, when the hotel is full, you have 350 people in-house. For a 500-room hotel, the equivalent number is 700. So using the percentages I give now, breakfast for 250-room hotel is 263 people. So you have a decent breakfast. But the lunch, 5% is only 18%, and the dinner is 42. And overnight room service order is 0.31. There's no way you can make money. So the lunch and dinner, you also can't make money, only breakfast. But the problem in running a restaurant is that you need 2 meal periods to make money. So if you have breakfast, you must also have lunch. Or if you have lunch, you must have dinner. So that is the fundamental reason why that hotel can't make money. But let's look at a 500 room. You have 700, just now I was giving the numbers based on full house, but typically it's not a full house except for a few days in a year. So the numbers are actually lower. For the 500 room hotel, about 500 over people eat breakfast, 35 people eat lunch, and 84 people eat dinner, and 0.7 order overnight. So again, lunch, dinner is a stretch, let alone overnight room service. In fact, today you can see all the Western hotels in Europe and America, they stopped serving overnight room service order already. Yeah. And on top of that, the only outlet you can justify is the coffee shop for handling the breakfast business. So how do you then design the restaurant? When I mentioned earlier, you should ask yourself a question: if I don't build a hotel and I build this restaurant, can I make money? So the catchment for the restaurant is very simple. What are the offices within 500 meters of where the location is? Because 95% of your customer will come from that location. They will come from for lunch, right? So if you have a good lunch crowd and you have a good breakfast crowd, the coffee shop can make money. So we've seen some hotel in KL, the good location is a very heavy office area with higher level corporate workers. They do a decent business because of that. But even with a high concentration of customer for lunch, the other specialty restaurant will have lunch but no dinner business. Again, it is difficult to justify. So not only you look at class of worker, but you look at what is the spending power. I'll give you an example of that. We took over a hotel in one secondary city, and that hotel when we took over has a Chinese restaurant. So I told the owner, you're never going to make money, we close it down. But the owner wants to use a Chinese restaurant to entertain their guests. So they partner a well-known restaurateur, Chinese, to run it. Guess what? After 3 years, it's still closed down because they can't do it. Right. The second thing is the class of workers. So what I did in that hotel is because I want to know what's the pricing for lunch. So I sent my team of people to survey what type of income they are earning. And the conclusion is that these people will not spend more than 10 to 12 ringgit for lunch, which is really at the lowest level. That means the bosses who can afford to spend will not be coming every day. They will go to different places. The workers, that's a budget and that's not your target to make money. And finally, dinner, you're competing with, your catchment is bigger because maybe you can even reach up to 20 kilometers. That's a far stretch. But if you take the distance, you are starting to have much keener competition with freestanding restaurants, right? And especially in Kuala Lumpur today, right, the city has matured. A lot of independent restaurants exist that are extremely good. Right? So let's look at design of the coffee shop in a hotel. In fact, I'm still scratching my head how to make money there, because typically what happens is that we will have 3 types of cuisine. we have a Western food, we may have a walk range for Asian food, and finally we may put in a pizza station. So when we do that, the investment become very high because we have 3 different type of kitchen equipment and 3 different type of chefs. And please, the chef cannot help each other. We have a hotel in Bintulu, very well-known pizza. We established a name, and the walk range, which cooking Asian, Chinese, basically food, is next door. So one night, the pizza guy ran out of tomato sauce, and the Chinese chef was very helpful. So oh, you take my sauce and make it. We had the biggest complaint of our life because that is Chinese sweet sauce. It's not pizza tomato sauce, right? So difficult to kind of. We have another problem in our hotel is that we have our chef costs a lot because they have other fringe benefits, and we have a high turnover of kitchen staff. So ask yourself this: think of your, let's say for example, we talk about hawker stall, independent, small, single person run hawker stall, all right? Why do you go to your favorite hawker stall? So the answer I'm going to tell you is that you go there because the guy running the hawker stall, he has been there the last 15 years, and you know he will be there the next 10 years until he retires, right? So because he's the same guy cooking, food is consistent and the quality is there. So typically today in large city, especially you want to get yourself to be classified, because easier to get 5-star rating when you have more restaurant, right? So the Chinese restaurant, Japanese restaurant, Western restaurant like today in Kuala Lumpur, you can lease it out. And by leasing it out and getting the rental, you actually make more money. In the MICE business, or basically conference and meeting room business, scale is also very important, right? Our experience with banquet hall, 250 seater, maybe with 3 or 4 meeting rooms, over the year we learned that there is not enough revenue to even support the salespeople. So today we don't design with a hotel with a ballroom less than 500. So with a 500 room ballroom and roughly about 8 to 12 meeting room, it become a decent business and the salespeople get motivated. But the best is to move to about 1,000 person ballroom with about 15 up to 20 meeting room. Then that is a business by itself. For example, the Everly Putrajaya, our banqueting business, including the lunch and dinner we sell as part of the conference, is over $1 million per month, right? And the sales team are motivated because we can sell. Right? And typically what I've learned is that if you are in any area, the person or the hotel with the largest meeting room capacity in terms of ballroom and all wins if you can execute the service. So even 4-star, we can compete with a 5-star because we sit just under their price target, but it's more than good enough to make decent money. Right? But very important thing you must know is that you cannot look at this ballroom, the conference meeting room business alone. You must look at what is the size of the hotel. So when I mentioned 500 person ballroom with meeting rooms, it should go with about 200 to 300 rooms. And then for 1,000, you should go between 300 to 500 rooms. Then the two balance. Let's look at entertainment outlet like lounge, fun pub, disco, etc. Actually, in the end, you lose money, right? Because that category is very trendy, and then you compete with all the entertainment in town, you will lose. Okay? But if you are in a MICE location where you're a lot of international attendees, etc., it may justify. But today we find that just a 2-piece band keeping the people happy is more than good enough. But then you also start with the quality of band and what other competition. Spa and gym I already mentioned, and it's a service, and we don't really have an expertise as a hotelier. Talk about the key business drivers of a hotel for the room business. We have the business travel, we have the leisure travel, and we have the MICE, meeting, incentive, conference, and exhibition. Right. So please understand the nature of these people. All right. By the way, it's best to have all three business drivers. Business travelers, right? They will travel good time and bad time, right? They need to develop business. And in fact, in recession, sometimes you see them even traveling more because they really, really need the business when there is a downturn, all right? Even we have seen in SARS, even in COVID, they still take the risk because they need to survive. The leisure traveler, especially the international one, right? They will come, but the economy in their own country must be good, right? And it's very subjected to a lot of possible problems. You have political and social unrest, they will stop coming. Right? You have a natural disaster, earthquake or whatever in that zone, they won't come. And then diseases like SARS and COVID completely come to a halt. So you can't just depend on that one leg. And finally, MICE business. What I want to share with you with MICE business is that it takes time to develop the business, right? But if you know how to service and you become reliable, you get good repeat business, and especially you should zero in on international groups. They will come 3 days and they will take up the bulk of your hotel, the bulk of your conferences, and there's decent business to be made.